Deb K here. We're at home. We're not shopping much. We had a lot of ingredients, but some of us are running out. Or we want to make some of our favorite foods, and we could make it, but we need to substitute some ingredients, so I thought I'd help you out and share one of my favorite recipes. I'm going to make some West African vegetable stew. I don't know where I got this recipe. I've had it for years, but it's very popular in my cooking classes and potlucks. I think because it's so easy and it's very versatile. So let's talk about ingredients. You notice that I omit the vegetable oil on the top. The vegetable oil in this recipe is simply just so you can saute the onions and garlic. We don't need to do that. We can water saute these. When I do substitute, I tend to make notes because if I like what I did, I want to repeat it. If I don't like what I did, I don't want to do it again. So here are all the ingredients we need for this West African stew. The first ingredient I'll be using are sliced onions. They're sliced thin, and when I slice my onions, I like to do them in half moons, where we cut the onion in half before we slice it so I don't have those big circles. I don't like the onion flopping off my fork or my spoon while I'm eating my stew. One of the other main ingredients we need are beans. The recipe calls for garbanzo beans, but I had some great northern beans hanging around the house. They're pretty easy. They're a white bean, so they're soft. I just covered them with water, brought the pot to a boil, turned the heat off, covered it, let the beans sit in that water for about 60 minutes, and then I drained them, covered them with water again, brought the pot to a boil, and let them simmer about 40 minutes until they were al dente. You can use any beans you have around. You could use kidney beans, pinto beans, black beans. Black-eyed peas would be really good in this recipe. I think I've used it before. Another ingredient are sweet potatoes. I had a nice big fat one in my pantry. We're going to slice them thin and make them into pretty little bite-sized pieces, but this is one of the main ingredients. You want your slices a little bit large because they'll look pretty in your stew. If you don't have a sweet potato, you could use a red potato, yellow potato, white potato. A golden beet would be good in this recipe, I bet. Another ingredient it calls for that I don't have is 4 cups of fresh spinach, but I do have some nice collard greens that I sliced up and some of this beautiful purple kale that came in my organic vegetable box yesterday. That's what I'll be using for the greens. I put together some soup stock with better than bouillon vegetable broth. I usually like to make my own. As you can see, I have some cooking right here, but I didn't have any ready, so I'm going to go ahead and use the pre-made better than bouillon. If you've got a vegetable cube, you can use it with water, or if you don't have either, just use water for this recipe. And for our flavor component, we have minced garlic, cinnamon, and crushed chili flakes. If you don't want it so hot, you could, it's a mild recipe, but if you really have an aversion to spicy, you could use less chili flakes or none at all. But the cinnamon and the chili and the sweetness from the dried fruit and the sweet potatoes is what gives it that West African flair. But it's your soup. You do what you want to and with the ingredients you have. Another ingredient that I substituted would be the raisins. I don't have raisins, and I thought maybe I'll use cranberries because I do have some dried cranberries. I thought maybe that would be a little too sweet, maybe a little weird, so I used dates. I have some medjool dates around the house. I just chop them up, and I'll add those instead of the raisins. Okay, this is my very first video ever. It's just me and an iPad, so it's going to be very unprofessional. I'm going to stop now, and we'll start up again when I get to the cooking over there at the stove. Talk to you in a few minutes.